I want to say that going into age 37, Kevin Durant, we just saw his last best season. Is he going to average 27 again next year? 27, 6, and 4 is what he averaged.
Where I have concerns, if I was a Houston Rocket fan, which I'm not, thank goodness, it's a weird franchise, is that at any time in Kevin Durant's career, he can physically fall apart because he has been going, and he has already physically fallen apart one time in his career. He was an Achilles tendon guy, if I'm not mistaken. Was it 3 years ago?
Who's this?
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Literally the same exact thing that happened to Tyrese Halliburton was KD played with the right calf strain, or I can't remember what side it was, but he played with the calf strain, blew out his Achilles. That's exactly what was going on with Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah. Halliburton had a right calf strain, played through it, and blew the Achilles.
Because at any point in time, KD is a 37-year-old player. He also, didn't he have like a nasty compound fracture too at one point in his career? It's like broke a leg. He just always looked like a player that just looked.
I think you're thinking of Paul George.
Yeah, you're confusing him with PG.
The point is that if KD doesn't give you 65 plus regular season games in a playoff run, you just mortgaged away the future. I think, because Jalen Green just recently a first overall pick. I think you're a little premature in doing that.
Now, it's funny.
For a 37-year-old.
If he had come to Denver, I think I'd be singing a different tune.
Because it feels different, right? Because he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy in Houston. He would have been, like he was in Golden State,
the number 2 option.
Which is an awesome number 2.
An elite number 2. An unbeatable number 2 option. An unguardable number 2 option. And OKC would have had a really tough time defending him. So had he come to Denver, and Denver wasn't going to be able to give the package. I still think this was a premature trade between Houston and Phoenix. Like, I think this should have drawn out like a handful of days, had gone into around draft day where you could have gotten something more than just 5 second-round picks. Like, you're not going to draft 5 Nikola Jokic's. That'd be awesome, but it's just simply not going to happen if you're Phoenix. I don't know what the Suns are doing. That's really nice, at least for the Nuggets. How does this help the Nuggets? The Suns, while they weren't a threat last year, are certainly not a threat this year with 19 shooting guards on the roster.
And the word is that the Suns are going to be moving on.
Jalen Green was the second overall.
Second overall. The Suns are going to be moving on from Jalen Green to be able to use him to acquire something else. So it's like, all right, they have acquired Jalen Green as a trade piece, a very high-end trade piece.
It feels like it was a little bit of an early pull in the trade. Denver could not have given Phoenix what they got from Houston. Just simply wasn't going to happen. You didn't have those types of current pieces. You certainly didn't have the draft picks to move on from. You can only weaponize a 2031 and a 2032 first-round pick, and who really wants those right now? Although, you and I have had this conversation about the Denver picks and being like, they don't have anything to trade. If I'm a GM, I know the life of a GM should only be looked at over the course of like a 3-year stretch, right? Like if you're somewhere within 3 years, you're likely going to get fired in year 4, year 5. That's just where the numbers kind of come out to. But if I'm comfortable and I know that I have commitment from ownership for the long run of rehauling my roster, don't the Nuggets picks in 2032 sound really good to you? When Nikola Jokic is back in Serbia and Jamal Murray is a shell of himself and Aaron Gordon likely isn't even here and Michael Porter Jr. probably isn't either. Like, the core 4 is here. They're here right now, and that's the reason why you have to push, and push. You have to go win now, but 2032, there's a really good chance the Nuggets are going to be horrible in 2032. I'd take those picks.
Yeah. With last night's result of Oklahoma City doing what the Denver Nuggets did, not nearly as long of a history that without a title, but with the Oklahoma City Thunder finally winning that title, which really goes back to their days as Seattle Supersonics. I couldn't help but think of Kevin Durant being the face of Oklahoma City for years as a young player, a foundational player for Oklahoma City. An era that was really fun. There's like Oklahoma City fans are like, this is awesome. We never really had a pro sports team, and these guys are awesome. We have one of the best players in the NBA, Kevin Durant.
The amount of elite players that went through OKC
unbelievable.
was insane.
It's stupid.
And continue to go through OKC.
Without a title until this year. I think a little bit, I couldn't help myself but think about if you're a Denver Nugget fan and you watched Oklahoma City win the title last night, does it remind you of just a couple years ago when the Denver Nuggets exercised all of those different demons and the face of failure that you were ready to move on from, and you were ready to almost say, we're good without that player in this franchise because we now have a title with our new guys. I think that Kevin Durant has some comps to Denver's Carmelo Anthony in terms of that type of, he was the guy that made you relevant, that made you excited to go and get to Pepsi Arena
and
at the
you
time.
got Pepsi Arena.
Is that what it was then?
Close. Pepsi Center.
Oh, it's the center. Dang it.
Yeah, those two.
KD's a better player. KD's a better player.
KD is a better player. They're both all-time scorers. They're both all-time Team USA members.
And they're also they're all-time NBA celebs.
That might be the perfect comp. Again, he's a better player, but in terms of who were you to a certain fan base, yeah. They both got equally as close. Although OKC, did they make a final with Durant and lose?
Yeah.
They made one final.
2012.
With that original core. Denver got close when you lost to the Lakers all those years ago when you should have won. And if you win that thing, you win a title. They did that with Melo. Yeah, they're pretty similar.
And I find it interesting that, at least for me, outsider looking in, up until Nikola Jokic, and particularly until Nikola Jokic cemented his legacy as the face historically of the Nuggets franchise, I always looked at the Denver Nuggets, the face of the franchise, up until the point that Nikola Jokic started winning MVPs. I looked at it was Carmelo Anthony.
The modern face, yes.
Yeah, but relevance of the franchise, where it became a national story. Dikembe Mutombo, I'd say
Alex English, David Thompson. Like you had some amazing Hall of Fame players.
Amazing Hall of Fame players, but I never felt like there was a player that captured the attention of the national audience like Carmelo Anthony.
In the national audience, it's really tough to look back at those players in the 80s and compare them to the players of the 2000s, to the David Stern NBA, the post-MJ NBA, when Kobe was at his height and we were getting ready to usher in LeBron, and obviously in the same year, in the same draft class as Carmelo Anthony. It's easier for those guys to have a greater impact on the pop culture popularity of a franchise than the guys in the 80s were. There were just simply more eyeballs. That's the reason why Melo, you think Nuggets, you think, who's the guy that put them on the map? It's Carmelo Anthony. I know there's a bunch of people who are 60, 65 who are screaming at me. That's why I do want to say, there were amazing players here. It's just, it's not apples to apples.
It was the best kept secret. Alex English, best kept secret in the NBA. I know he was an all-star. He's a Hall of Famer. Carmelo Anthony was not a secret. He was a top 5 spoken about player in the National Basketball Association when he was a Denver Nugget.
They need to bring back the frickin' silk powder blue.
So sweet.
I don't want those to be the jerseys they wore all the time. But because we're in an era with the NBA where it doesn't matter what colors you wear, I have no idea who's on the court at any given point.
What are the official colors of the Utah Jazz?
No clue.
Are they
Is
red?
It the purple?
Are they purple?
Are they
black?
green?
Are they
and
teal?
Yellow? And
I don't know.
I don't know who they are.
Who knows?
It should be
every color.
The gradient. It really is. They are the rainbow. And the Nuggets should go back to the rainbow jerseys as their staples.
Yeah, going back to that though, isn't it wild though that two of the most significant players in both the OKC franchise and the Denver Nuggets franchise.
Thank you for getting me back on track.
But isn't it
devolved into jersey?
But
talk.
isn't it wild to think that in both of those cases, I don't know that right now either fan base really claims Carmelo Anthony as their own beloved, or in the case of Oklahoma City Thunder fans, especially after winning a title, if they really claim Kevin Durant as their own.